Imagine a serene summer afternoon in a small town. Two 10-year-old girls laughing in a garden, both wearing David Beckham jerseys, stepping into the house to play. That was the last time anyone saw them alive. In August 2002, the UK was shaken by the mysterious disappearance of two beloved young girls, Holly Wells and Jessica Chapman. In less than an hour from a warm family barbecue, two innocent lives vanished without a trace. The entire nation was stunned. Over 400 police officers joined the search. David Beckham, the football star the girls adored, appeared on TV pleading, "If you can hear this, please come home. No one is angry with you." But the truth was far more painful. On August 4th, 2002, in Soham, a quiet town in Cambridgeshire, England, Holly Wells was hosting a backyard barbecue. She invited her best friend Jessica Chapman over. Both 10 years old, classmates, inseparable since they were little. That afternoon, the girls played in the garden under the watchful eyes of family and friends. Before dinner, they asked permission to go up to Holly's room to play video games. They changed into matching Manchester United jerseys with Beckham's name, their ultimate idol. At 5 p.m., Holly's mother snapped a photo, the girls side by side beaming in their bright red shirts. It would become their final picture. Around 8 p.m., Holly's mother felt uneasy. The house had gone quiet. She went to check. The room was empty. The back door was ajar. The girls were gone. Within hours, police were called. The entire community launched a search. Hundreds took to the streets, combing every corner, every alley, every field. Media blasted their faces across screens. Two little Beckhams, the town began calling them. No one could make sense of it. Holly and Jessica weren't reckless or curious wanderers. They were well taught about safety, never talked to strangers, never left without permission. Police started asking, could the perpetrator be someone the girls knew, someone they trusted? The search dragged on for 2 weeks, 13 long days with no clear lead. Special units, search dogs, helicopters, even local actors were recruited to recreate the girls' last known movements, hoping to trigger someone's memory. Then, on August 17th, Keith Pryor, a caretaker at the RAF Lakenheath base, caught a strange smell near the fence. Days later, haunted by unease, he returned with two friends. They pushed through the bushes and screamed in horror. The bodies of Holly and Jessica were found lying side by side in a shallow ditch, severely decomposed and deliberately burned. The entire nation fell silent. That place should have been peaceful ground. But that day, it became a cold grave for two innocent children, said Chief Constable Chris Stevenson. As the news spread, no one could have imagined that one of the first people to appear on camera was also the last to see the girls alive. Ian Huntley, the school caretaker, and his girlfriend Maxine Carr, a teaching assistant for the girls. Maxine cried on television, held up a handmade card Holly had given her, and referred to the girls in the past tense, even though their deaths hadn't yet been confirmed. The host asked, "You said they were good girls, why the past tense?" Maxine froze, and Huntley, he gave multiple interviews, calmly stating he was the last person to see them with a disturbingly composed expression. No sign of discomfort. And slowly, the cracks began to show. The girls were just walking past someone they trusted. Minutes later, they were gone forever. August 2002. While the rest of England basked in summer sun in a tiny village called Soham, where doors were left unlocked and children played in the streets, two smiling girls in red Beckham shirts were captured in a photograph. 10 years old, best friends, Holly Wells and Jessica Chapman, in a moment of innocence, stepped inside a house and vanished from this world. No scream, no witness, no clue what happened. Who could harm two girls in broad daylight in the heart of a peaceful community? That evening, August 4th, Holly and Jessica were allowed to go inside to play games, right in the middle of a family barbecue. At 6. 10 p.m. That was the last time anyone saw them alive. An hour later, when the silence became too long, Holly's mother went to check and they were gone. No note, no fallen item, no one saw them leave. Just emptiness, cold and invisible, and a creeping fear spreading like ink in water. Within 24 hours, the quiet countryside turned into one of the biggest manhunts in British history. Where could they have gone? Who could make two girls disappear without a trace? No one expected that the man on TV pleading bring them home safely was the very person who had stolen them away. I remember telling my wife, "Look, there go the two Beckham girls." As a witness later recalled, the last confirmed moment, two girls in bright red Manchester United shirts walking hand in hand through Soham. And then they were gone, police mobilized. A nation held its breath. A £1 million reward was offered. Over 400 officers flooded the area. Front pages were plastered with their faces. David Beckham himself went on air. "Holly and Jessica, no one is angry, please come back." But silence followed. A crushing, terrible silence. Day 13. A maintenance worker found a strange smell near a military base. A few days later, he returned with friends. And what they found shattered a generation's innocence. The bodies of Holly and Jessica, placed side by side in a shallow ditch, partially burned. No one wanted to believe it, but there was no doubt. Why these two girls? Why didn't anyone see or hear anything just minutes from the village center? And why did a seemingly ordinary man, a school caretaker, appear on every news channel calmly stating, "I may be the last person who saw them"? Welcome to the Soham murders, one of the most shocking and heartbreaking cases in British history. In this series, we will retrace the girls' final steps, uncover every lie, every seemingly innocent face, learn how a man with a dark past slipped into a school, how a woman the girls loved helped cover up a monstrous crime, and ask whether justice was truly served or just painted on with hope. If it were your child, would you have had time to save them? This isn't just a story of two murdered children. It's a story of how we, as a community, failed to hear the silent cries. It's a journey into the dark, one from which none of us return unchanged. Stay with us. We're just getting started, a place where people didn't lock their doors. A town where trust was absolute. But in that very place, two girls vanished without a sound. If you ever visit Soham, a small town in Cambridgeshire, eastern England, you'll understand why people called it England's peaceful oasis. All the clean streets, pretty houses, neatly trimmed gardens, children's laughter echoing in the afternoons. Here, kids walked to school alone, neighbors knew each other's names. Shops still let regulars pay later, like in the old days. We didn't worry about crime. There was no reason to fear in Soham. A tearful neighbor said, yet in this picture-perfect place, a nightmare unfolded, shattering the illusion of safety. At around 6:10 p.m. on August 4th, 2002, Holly and Jessica asked Holly's mom if they could walk to a nearby candy shop, completely normal on a summer evening. No one worried. No one thought they were walking into a one-way trip. As dusk settled, the family realized it had been over an hour. No sign of the girls. They called, no answer. Walked the streets, no sight. Asked neighbors, only worried shrugs. Around 8 p.m., police were officially contacted. At that point, they still believed, maybe the girls are lost somewhere, they'll be back. But something strange lingered. There were no clues. No scream, no item dropped. No one saw them get into a car, nothing. Only one image survived, captured by a store security camera. Two girls in Manchester United shirts, hand in hand, smiling. That was the final moment. The news spread like wildfire. By morning, their names were everywhere. Police swarmed the town. Helicopters circled above. Search teams poured in from nearby towns. This doesn't happen in Soham. It can't happen here. A resident said, barely believing their own voice. Volunteers posted flyers everywhere, lamp posts, bus stops, shop windows. Children were forbidden to go out alone. Schools began installing cameras, and for the first time, the people of Soham locked their doors. Over 400 officers were deployed. Every forest, garden, and alley was searched. Hunters, firefighters, even fishermen were called in. Canals were drained. A special task force, Operation Finchem, was formed, working day and night. National media poured in. Reporters swarmed the girls' homes. Every small update made headlines. Why did the girls disappear? If they were kidnapped, who did it? If they got lost, why no trace? And if something worse had happened, who in this quiet town could be that cruel? Amid the panic, one man stood out. Ian Huntley, caretaker at Soham Village College where the girls studied. He was the first to speak on local television. I remember seeing them that day. They walked past my house and waved. In the days that followed, Huntley continued to speak with the press, standing beside his girlfriend Maxine Carr, a teaching assistant in Holly's class. Both of them spoke clearly, expressing concern, sympathy, and urging the public to help in the search. But something felt off. Some investigators began to notice. Why was Huntley speaking so much while most locals avoided the media? Why did he recall the exact time he saw the girls with such strange precision? And then, a few pieces started not to fit. Surveillance footage near Huntley's house showed no movement during the time he claimed to have seen the girls. A surprise inspection revealed Huntley's car had been cleaned thoroughly, the floor mats and trunk scrubbed with strong cleaning agents. Cracks began to show. The peaceful surface of Soham, once still as a summer lake, started to shatter into fragments. We always believed that if something bad ever happened, it would come from a stranger. But this time, if we looked closer, that stranger might be the one we greeted every morning. A Soham resident said through tears. Holly Marie Wells and Jessica Amy Chapman, both only 10 years old. Holly, blonde hair, radiant smile, loved football, adored animals, dreamed of becoming a vet. Jessica, more outspoken, energetic, loved singing and drawing, often the one to come up with games when they played together. They weren't just victims. They were vibrant children with hobbies, dreams, and a whole life ahead. When I saw that photo of the two girls in their Manchester United shirts, I broke down. I have a daughter the same age. A tearful viewer shared. With no solid leads after several days, the police were forced to investigate everyone connected to Holly and Jessica, teachers, paperboys, bus drivers, plumbers. From that long list, one name stood out. Ian Huntley. Huntley, 28, worked as the school caretaker at Soham Village College where the girls studied. He lived with his girlfriend Maxine Carr, the girls' teaching assistant. The couple had appeared on national television, expressing sympathy and calling for help. However, it was Maxine Carr who accidentally revealed the first major inconsistency. Carr had insisted that she was at home with Huntley on the night the girls disappeared. But police discovered that Carr wasn't even in Soham that night. She was visiting her mother in Grimsby, over 160 kilometers away. Which led to a chilling question. Why did she lie? What was she trying to cover up? The police returned to question Ian Huntley, and this time he began to falter. Every answer he gave was precise, suspiciously so. Time, place, description, it felt rehearsed like a script. When officers examined Huntley's red Ford Fiesta, they found the car had been scrubbed spotless, especially the trunk. Chemical traces from powerful cleaning agents. And one forensic expert found a tiny trace of blood, source unknown at the time. Meanwhile, in Huntley's home, the curtains had been freshly washed the day after the girls vanished. A section of the doormat was cut out. The fireplace showed signs of intense heat, as if something had been burned. Another disturbing discovery, CCTV footage from the school where Huntley worked showed a missing segment between 6:00 and 6:30 30 p.m. on August 4th, the critical window. Upon inspection, police suspected the footage had been manually erased, and the only person with access to that system, Ian Huntley. On August 17, after nearly 2 weeks of searching, a hunter found two small bodies dumped in a ditch near RAF Lakenheath, over 16 km from Soham. They were decomposing, wrapped in partially burnt fabric. One of the girls was still wearing a red Manchester United shirt, number 7 Beckham. DNA testing confirmed it was Holly and Jessica. Autopsies suggested suffocation. Fibers, hair, and fabric found with the bodies matched items from Huntley's house. There was no way out for him anymore. A horrifying detail emerged when investigators searched Huntley's attic. Under ultraviolet light, they discovered dried blood spelling out the words, "May you find peace." Experts confirmed the message was written in blood containing the DNA of both. He lived among us. He went to school every day, and we let our children be around him. A parent in psychological shock. Trust, once the pride of the small town of Soham, had now become a deep, unhealable wound. On June 16, 2003, nearly a year after the crime, Ian Huntley was brought to trial at the Old Bailey Court in London. The indictment included 2 charges of murder and one of obstructing the investigation. Maxine Carr, Huntley's girlfriend, was also prosecuted for giving false testimony in an attempt to cover for him. In court, Huntley pleaded not guilty to murder, claiming that one of the girls had accidentally fallen and hit her head in his bathtub. The other panicked, screamed loudly, and made him lose control. "I was scared and didn't know what to do. I didn't mean to kill them." But no one believed him. Forensic evidence, witness statements, testimonies from neighbors, and Huntley's own initial lies painted a clear picture. He lured Holly and Jessica into his house, murdered them, and then tried to cover up his crime with chilling coldness. On December 17, 2003, after 27 days of trial and 4 days of jury deliberation, Ian Huntley was sentenced to life in prison without parole, without conditions. The judge declared, "You are a dangerous, inhuman, and remorseless man. No words can lessen the cruelty of what you've done." Maxine Carr, though not directly involved in the killings, still received a 3-year prison sentence for intentionally providing false evidence, delaying the investigation. However, after serving her time, Carr was granted lifelong identity protection and now lives under a new name, a decision that sparked widespread public controversy in the UK. No sentence could ever mend the broken hearts of the two families. Kevin Wells, Holly's father, refused all interviews for years after the trial. He was only ever seen silently standing after each hearing, holding a photo of his daughter. Jessica's mother lost her voice when she learned of her daughter's death. She underwent psychological therapy for nearly 3 years before being able to return to work. Holly's bedroom was kept exactly as it was for many years, her teddy bear still resting on the pillow, her Beckham number 7 jersey still hanging at the foot of the bed. The school the girls had attended built a memorial garden, with 2 stone benches engraved with the names Holly and Jessica. Every year on August 4, the people of Soham lay flowers, release white balloons, and light candles at the school gates. The new generation of children are taught about the tragedy as a solemn reminder. We must never forget. The Soham case not only shook all of Britain, but permanently changed its legal system. Before this, individuals with past sexual or violent offenses were not thoroughly vetted when applying for jobs in schools. Ian Huntley, who had previously been accused of rape and assault, but never formally convicted, had still been allowed to work in education. After the case, the UK government established the CRB check system, now known as the DBS, making background checks mandatory for anyone working with children or vulnerable individuals. If someone had listened to Holly and Jessica sooner, if someone had checked Huntley's background more carefully, maybe things would have been different. A mother from the legal reform campaign. Every August 4 at exactly 6 p.m. The people of Soham bow their heads in a minute of silence. 1 minute to remember two little angels. 1 minute to acknowledge that we once failed to protect the innocent.